Welcome to episode 24 of season 7, the season finale. Today we're going to answer some listener questions, and I'm telling you right now, you guys did not disappoint with your questions. Let's get after it. Thank you for joining me for the Gospel Overgimmicks podcast. I'm your host, Richard Storman Norman, here to tell you everything I know and some things I highly suspect. You like my America hat? I do too. I like it. I ordered my wife a shirt online. When I went to order it, like, hey, you get a free hat with this. I'm like, well, say no more. I love hats. And I seen this one. I was like, yes, sir. Gotta have that. Anyway, today we're going to close out season 7 by answering your burning questions. Then I'm going to take a month off and relax till August. At least that's what I think I'm going to do, but it's probably not going to happen. We've been talking about overtime at work. I don't like overtime. Don't like it. Before we get into that though, how are you doing? You know, I was thinking on the way home from work, like, why do I tell y'all the weather every week? I don't know, it just kind of became a thing. Because I was riding home and it was like, it rained after lunch and it stopped about right before I left for work, I guess. So it's nice and sunny outside now. But it was like 78 roundabout on my way home, so I was riding home with the window down. That was nice. Beats getting downpoured on the way home. But I don't know why I tell y'all the weather. I just do. Bibles I've been using this week, the Common Man's, of course. I've finished up my yearly, read through the Bible in a year plan. I didn't know when I started it. I knew I started it in June, but I wasn't sure because I'm pretty sure it was last year when I was out with my stitches from work. I got stitches in my hand, and my job wouldn't let me come back for 2 weeks because of COVID. I didn't have COVID, but because I went to a hospital, they made me stay home for 2 weeks. So I think I started it then, and then I saw it in my memories on Facebook that I started it. I was looking at it Saturday. It said I started it a couple of days ago, so I read a little bit past. That's fine. But I'm finally done with that. So I'm going to read some books now. I'm going to start my next Bible reading plan in January, like all normal people do. And till then, though, I'm going to read some books and try and get some books read. But I've been using the Common Man's. That's about it. I can't think of another one I picked up over the past week. It's just a cool Bible. I like it. Bible giveaway winner. Let's do that. I believe I have all the names on the thing here. I'm going to get it open. 11, I believe. 11 people entered it. 1 through email and the rest through commenting on the video or subsequent videos. So here they all are. I'm not going to read them off, but there's 11 of them right there. We shall push a button. I'll do it right here so you can see if I can get around there and push. Mike. Mike with no last name. One of my patrons. Mike. You're the lucky winner. It says it right there. And the lucky winner is Mike. So, Mike, you're going to have to send me an email at gospelovergimmicks@gmail.com, or if you want to, I guess, message me through Facebook, but whichever is convenient for you, you may do that. But let me know which Bible you want from Church Bible Publishers website, and we'll order it and get it sent out to you. That's it. We got quite a few questions to get to, so let's get into the main topic. Questions and answers. Alright, so I scrolled back in time. And the season, how we got the seasons broke. I've said this before, I'm just going to reiterate. We got the seasons broke down to 2 in a year. The first one, at the beginning of the year, from January to June, that's always the longest season. It's like 2 months longer than the other one. So season 8 will only be like 4 months. And while this one's like 6 or something like that. But I go back to my early ones in January, and I'm like, man, it's been that long ago since I did that. But I went all the way back, went through all the comments to make sure I hadn't missed anything. And there was one from Proverbs 9:10 that he put on a video. I don't remember which video it was, but it was back in the day. And he asked my opinion on 1 Corinthians 15:29. So let's go read it. This will be a quick one because I agree with old Doc on this one. 1 Corinthians 15:29. And I read this whenever he first put the comment on my thing. I went and read it, and I was like, but then I went and read Doc's note on it, and I was like, I mean, I can't argue with that. It's pretty good. But 1 Corinthians 15:29 says, else what shall they do which are baptized for the dead? If the dead rise not at all, why are they then baptized for the dead? And we all know, well, I don't want to assume you know, but Mormons believe in getting baptized for dead family members. Family members that died, and they can get baptized for them to get them into heaven, I guess. I'm not real familiar with it. But Doc's note, I read it. I'll read it to you. It says this verse has been used by Mormons to justify the practice of their members being baptized for dead people, so they will become Mormons and be able to go to the first level of heaven. That is why they do so much extensive genealogical research. This ridiculous interpretation is arrived at by reading for as in place of. The word for here means because of, just like it did in Acts 2:38. The dead in this chapter refers to everybody who is dead, not any particular individual. Every convert who has been baptized in water after salvation was baptized for the dead. Baptism is a figure of death. When a fellow goes down in the water, he is saying, I'm dead and buried with the rest of the dead. When he is raised up out of the water, he is testifying that the dead are going to come up. Baptism pictures the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus Christ, who bore the wrath of God when he died on the cross, and it pictures the death, burial, and resurrection of the saved sinner who is in Christ. At the same time, baptism is a testimony to a lost world that the man whom God raised from the dead will someday bring them up and judge them because they rejected what he did for them. I can't argue with that, because I sure don't think it means what the Mormons think it means, that we're being baptized for the dead relatives. But that explanation makes sense to me. I'm going to default to Dr. Ruckman on that one. So I got chunks of questions from 3 people, 4 people. Who's honking their horn? Alright, that was the mail lady. Had to go sign for a package. Now the dogs are in the house, so there's going to be some noise. Anyway, what was I saying? I got chunks of questions from 4 people. I want to say 4. Anyway, let's get into it. These following questions are from the Anonymous-tionary. He says, who was the most influential Christian writer in your faith walk? I can't say that there's like one writer that I've read like a whole ton of their books. I kind of like read a book from this guy and a book from this guy. Like Dr. Ruckman, I've read one. No, I guess, yeah, I've read one book for him, and like this little booklet thing I have on the King James, I read for him. One of my favorite books I read, it's over on the shelf. I believe it was R.A. Torrey's book on praying. That was a good one, because praying is something I'm not good at. I struggle with that. I struggle with making it a habit. Uh, so I read. I used to read. I got a bunch of books on prayer. I've read a few of them. I read Spurgeon's book on prayer. I think Tori's book on prayer was good. But I can't say there's one writer where I just read their books over and over again, like every book they come out with. I just kind of. I'm reading a book. I finished up Brother Andrew Sluter's book last night. I go to his school, and I finished his book up yesterday. Started reading a book we're going to talk about in a minute, and that's my plan. Out of my Bible reading thing is over with before I start a new one in January. I'm going to try and read the current book I'm reading. I'm going to try and read Brother Randy's book. He's one of my teachers at Bible college. I'm trying to read that. I would like to finish, probably not going to happen, but I'd like to finish reading Dr. Bill Grady's book, Final Authority. I think that's the book I'm reading. It's in there by the bed in the bedroom. I'd like to finish that. His books on the King James is fantastic. You got to be, you got to not have a problem with big words to read his books. But his books are good. And I want to read Doc Ruckman's book on the Mark of the Beast that I have here at the end of the thing. So I like Dr. Ruckman's book. His writing style is a little bit different. I noticed that the Mark of the Beast book he wrote differently than the book I read, because I read How to Teach Dispensational Truth and stuff like that. But yeah, I wouldn't say there's one, author. But that R.A. Torrey book was really good. I like the way them old preachers wrote. Because they wrote like their book was a Bible tract. Like at the end of every chapter, they're making a case for the gospel as if. And the odds of a lost person picking up a Christian book to read is probably pretty slim. But they still put some evangelism in them just in case. Just in case. He also asked, what single source would you give to someone interested in the Bible version debate? I can't say I've read a ton, but if you're looking for something that you can read in like less than a day, Why I Believe the King James Bible is the Word of God by Peter Ruckman. This is good. It's like, what is it? 27 pages. It's 27 pages. So I read this in a couple hours, I believe. So this would be a good one if you just want, like a quick introduction type of thing. Like I said, I've been reading Bill Grady's book on Final Authority. That one is pretty good. I'm only about a third of the way through it. It's pretty good. I got Riplinger's book. I've not read it, but I got it. And I got another one. I think I got a couple more down here. If my office wasn't so messy, it'd be a lot easier. But I got Ruckman's Errors in the King James, and I have another book. I can't remember what it is. But yeah, if that's the two I'd recommend. Oh yeah, Sam Gipp's The Answer Book. I'd recommend this one. These two. I'd recommend these two. The Answer Book by Sam Gipp and Why I Believe the King James Bible is the Word of God by Ruckman as starters. Like if you're just getting into trying to figure things out, these would be good starters. And then something like Riplinger's book or Bill Grady's book if you want to dive a little bit deeper. He asked, what is your desert island Bible? Could only have one Bible. Which would it be? Man, this is a hard one. Because I really got some Bibles I like. Like this new... Usually I get a new Bible, and I'm pretty hardcore about it for a week or two. Not that I don't like it no more, but then, something else catches my eye. But this Common Man's, I've been using the mess out of it since I got it. The Ruckman, I love that. I feel like I just got to go with an old favorite and say Schofield because, like I said before, when I was a kid, everybody had your Bible. They didn't. It didn't. Nobody cared. It was bonded leather, whatever. It wasn't no. I got all these nice Bibles, but back when I was a kid, every Bible, I didn't even know that kind of thing existed. As far as I was concerned, the Schofield was like if you really wanted to put some money down on a good Bible, even though the Schofield wasn't made any different than the cheap ones. But the way my preacher talked about the Schofield when I was a kid was like, oh man, that's the Bible you want. And then my grandma bought me one when I was like 17, I think, or 16, somewhere around in there. My grandma bought me a Schofield with my name on it. It got wet, but I still have it because it's the Bible that I used when I got saved. So I still have it. It's in the shelf in there. Uh, but I'd probably have to go with Schofield just because it's an old favorite. It's what I grew up with. So man, I love all my Bibles, the Canterbury, the Turquoise, the Ruckman, the Common Man's, the CBP Bibles. I love them all, but I'd probably have to go at least with a CBP Schofield if I was stuck on a desert island, just because I know that Bible. It's like a friend that I've known for a long time. He asks, what is your position on the debate between modern and traditional forms of worship music? I like the old hymns, but every now it's whenever you hear a good song. I hope I ain't yelling at y'all. Whenever you hear a good worship song come out nowadays from like a contemporary artist, uh, if it's good, it's the exception, not the rule. Most of it is trash. Most of them, they just say the same thing over again. They don't hardly ever mention Jesus. They don't mention anything that's biblical. Back in the day, you read those old hymns in the hymn books, and they were basically just taking something from the Bible and making a song out of it. Like you could find the lyrics to the song, not verbatim, but you could find what they were singing about somewhere in the Bible. And that's not the case so much with modern worship. They just want, Jesus is wonderful, and then repeat that like 7 times and call it a worship song. So I don't want to hear it in church. I wouldn't go to a church that played modern worship music. But there are some, I can't think of any off the top of my head because I haven't listened to it in so long. But there are some modern worship songs that I don't think are terrible. They're pretty good. Like I said, I can't think of any off the top of my head. But they're out there. So I like traditional. I like singing the old hymns. Singing about meat and potatoes instead of, a modern day song where you could take it and put it on pop radio if you wanted to, because you don't know if they're singing about the Lord or their boyfriend or girlfriend. Were you raised on a KJV, or did you discover the version debate later in life? I enjoy hearing your testimony. As far as my testimony goes, I'll put a card up here. I've actually posted my testimony on here twice. I did it at the beginning when I first started the podcast, and then I did like an updated version. Because, when I first started, it was just me recording my phone, so it was all not great audio, not great video quality. So I did one, was it last year? I believe it was last year, early last year. I recorded an updated version of my testimony. So I'll put that up there in the corner, and you can go check that out. But yeah, I was raised on the KJV, but I know when you say that, people will be, oh, well, you've never explored it. I have, though. I have. Like I said, there was a point in my life where I wasn't living for the Lord. I was living for the world. I was saved, but I was out there in the world, and I was still like, Christian. Just didn't live like one. So, and I was King James, because that's what we were taught. in my old church when I was a kid. Never really taught why, but that's the Bible you use. That's the real Bible there. So when I was in my mid to late 20s, uh, somebody just somebody that I worked with was just like, "Why have you ever read a newer version?" And I was like, "Well, not really, no." He's like, "Why don't you give it a try?" So I did, and I started getting into that, and I started buying up all the different versions I could get and trying to figure out which one I liked the most. And it just didn't work because, like, I'd be reading through a passage that I knew from the King James, and I'd come across it and I'd read it in the newer version. I'd be like, no, no, that's not supposed to say that. That's not what that says. Because I remembered what it said in the King James, and I'm like, man, that's totally wrong. And then eventually I started looking into the version debate and learning some things, and I was like, I'll just stick with the KJV. There's just too much. I'll just, like I always say, uh, at the beginning of the season, I'm like, I'm a King James only. That's what you're going to get when you listen to this podcast. If you want to go use a modern version, that's up to you. I'm not going to beat you over the head for it. That's between you and God. But I want a whole Bible. I don't want a Bible that's got stuff cut out and verses missed. I want a whole Bible. I'd rather have a whole Bible. He asked, do you have any issues with maybe Christian items like art, mugs, shirts, etc. that use a passage of scripture that is paraphrased or doesn't match the KJV exactly? I would have a problem with it if it's something that I'm going to be singing with. Like I have a coffee cup, I think. I have a coffee cup in there that an ex-girlfriend got me a long time ago. I believe it has a verse on it that's not King James, but I only use it here. Nobody, I ain't taking it nowhere else, and you can't hardly read what's on it anyway. It's like a black mug with like a dark gray font or something, so you can't hardly see what it says. But no, I would rather it not be like I see people post stuff all the time on Facebook sometime that I know are King James only people, and I also know that what they posted wasn't King James, but I don't comment be like, who that ain't King James or nothing like that. But I guess I got some artwork around here. I'm not entirely sure all of it's King James, but I don't know. I guess that's up to you. As far as a shirt I'm gonna wear out, no, I wouldn't want it to be anything with King James. But coffee cup's probably not gonna leave this house. Art's probably not gonna leave this house. Yeah, we got some artwork in there hanging up in the dining room that we got for our wedding shower when we got married. I'm pretty sure it's not King James, but we still got it hanging on the wall. He asks, what are your thoughts on the mandates King James put on the translators? Example, follow the bishop's Bible whenever possible, translate church not as congregation, etc. I'll be honest with you, I had never heard that before. That's the first one for me. I have to look into that a little bit more, but that wouldn't change my opinion. This is the big one, Ford or Chevy. Well, I own both. I actually own more Fords. I actually own 3 trucks, and 2 of them are Fords, but I drive the Chevy to work every day. You can actually go to my other channel. I don't know, can I link it here? I don't know. If I can link it here or somewhere, I will. You actually go to my other channel, Storm and Norman Reviews, and see me work on my Ranger that's sitting in the garage outside. That's my project truck. Whenever I get a chance, I like to go out there and work on it. I'm trying to get it running. Well, it runs. The only thing I need to do to it is get the tires changed out. I already have the tires. I just need to switch them over and get the front end aligned, and I'm going to start driving it again because my Chevy, the valve cover gasket's leaking, so I got to change the valve cover gasket out, and I watched a video of it on YouTube. That is a job. The valve cover gasket takes less than 10 minutes to change, but you have to take half the motor apart just to get to it. So, I mean, I used to be a hardcore Chevy guy. So my first truck was an S10. And then I had an S10 after that, and S10 after that. And I've had like almost a dozen S10s. And then I had a couple Fords, and I had an F-150, and then I got rid of it, got another F-150. It broke, and that's when I got the Ranger. And then Ranger don't have air conditioner, and I live in Florida. So after a while, I was like, we're going to need to get air conditioners. So I went and got the Chevy that I drive. But it's hard to beat that Ranger, man. That Ranger has a 2.5 liter four cylinder in it, almost 300,000 miles on it. It's like 280 something thousand miles I have on that Ranger, and it still runs like a top. I just replaced the power steering pump on it. Other than that, runs like a top with almost 300,000 miles on it. So it's kind of hard to beat a Ford. He says, no, this is the big one. Pineapple on pizza, yes or no? I'm going to say yes, but not all the time. Like, I can't remember the last time I had pineapple on pizza. But I think it's good. I don't think it's nasty or anything. It's just one of the things, like, I got to be in the mood for it. Usually I like my pizza to be loaded down with a bunch of meat. But I'm not opposed to eating the Hawaiian pizza either. I like pineapple. Got a few questions here from Zach Smith. Do you have any podcasts that are regular listens? Regular? Well, I listen to mine regularly. I don't want to. Don't think I listen to my podcast out of some sense of pride. I listen to it just to make sure I didn't mess it up. I don't know. A couple episodes ago, we did one where you couldn't tell if you were listening to it. If you were just listening to the audio, you wouldn't have been able to tell. But if you watched the video a couple episodes back, you noticed that the audio didn't match up with the video. I don't know what happened there, but for some reason my audio didn't sync up with my video. And it was just that one video. It didn't happen again after that. So that's why I listen to my videos or my podcasts. I put it on the way home from work and listen to it just to see, do I need to increase the microphone volume, or do I need to do this when I'm editing because this is doing this and I need to fix it. So I don't listen to them because I want to hear myself. I just listen to them to make sure there's not something I need to change. Also from Zach Smith, I'm really wanting to start a Bible study podcast, sort of like what you do, but with a mix of Bible study 1 or 2 nights a week with a weekend bonus episode cooking video. I love to cook. It's number 2 right behind the Lord. Any advice? I'm assuming you're talking about a YouTube channel, because technically the podcast is the thing you listen to. Like if you went and listened to my podcast on iTunes, it would just be me talking. It wouldn't be no video. So I don't know. You might could do a cooking podcast, but I don't know how well that would go over in an audio format. But if you're just doing video, like a YouTube channel like you're watching now, if you're watching the YouTube channel, then I don't see why that wouldn't work. And as long as your audience know, like if you started off the bat letting people know, hey, this is what we're going to be doing. People don't really like things to be sprung on. Like if I was doing this, well, that's why I have my other channel, so I can review knives. I can review guns. I'm about to do a review on some hats I bought, some sun hats, because I work outside. I wouldn't want to do that on this channel because that's not what y'all come here for. But if you let people know ahead of time, hey, this is what we're going to be doing. And besides, I don't know what your target audience is, but Baptists like to eat. I'm Baptist. We like to eat. So, plus he hasn't done it, but the pastor that runs my school, he's been wanting to start a cooking channel called the Baptist Baker. I think he actually started the channel. It exists, but he hasn't posted any videos to it yet. I'm not sure. But yeah, that's what as long as you let people know what they're getting into, then that'll be fine. And also my advice I give to everybody that wants to start either a YouTube channel or a podcast is consistency. Consistency. Uh, this might not be advice somebody else would give, but it's what I'd give. Uh, I don't like it when people aren't consistent. Like, there's a couple podcasts I listen to, and I'm gonna get back to that. I just realized I forgot to answer that question. uh, if if you're gonna do it every week, like that's your thing, I'm gonna put out an episode every week, then do it. I don't like listening to a podcast where I get a new episode this week, a new episode next week, and then 3 weeks go by, I get an episode, then 2 months go by, and I get an episode. I don't like that inconsistency. Maybe that's just me personally. But, and I'm not saying, when I say be consistent, I'm not saying you got to do an episode every week. I'm saying tell people how often you're going to do it. And like if doing an episode every week is too much, do it every 2 weeks. Do it once a month. As long as people know, well, I got this episode today, and in a month I'm getting another one. Then they know what to expect. But there's some podcasts I quit listening to just because months would go by. No episodes. I'm like, well, I'm unsubscribing from you if you're not going to put up an episode. But, yeah, if you're going to take a break, too, let people know. Don't just disappear. Sorry, I got my COVID test today, and I was perfectly fine. Of course, then you go in there and you get that thing stuck up your nose, and now my nose is running. Oh, I want to get back to your question because I forgot I skipped over it. But that's if you wanted to do a Bible study and then you're going to do a cooking episode, I'm sure people would be just fine with that. Do you have any podcasts that are regular listens? Let me get back to this one because I forgot I skipped over it. I got a few. Let me see. The thing is, I used to have a bunch, and then I got this new phone and had to redo them. I used to listen to Soteriology 101. I like that one. Trinity Radio, I still got on here. Sometimes I've been trying out this one called Good Fight Radio Show. The one I told y'all about a couple weeks ago, the Word of a King podcast. That's a fantastic podcast. And I got some preaching ones. Just Good Preaching podcast. That's pretty good. Preach the Bible Classics. That one's pretty good. You know, as far as Bible stuff. Of course, I got some sports podcasts I listen to, like Gators Breakdown. Wish I had. Oh, let me open up this other app. I forgot about this one. I listen to The Briefing from Al Mohler every morning. Like I said 100 times, I wouldn't agree. He's Southern Baptist. He's Calvinist. I wouldn't agree with his theology, but he does a news podcast every morning called The Briefing, and it's about 25 minutes long. I listen to it on my way to work, and I like that a lot. I don't always agree with him, but I like it. Our Just Thinking podcast is pretty good. Again, two guys that are probably Calvinists. I don't know. But evangelicals at least. One of them works for John MacArthur. But Just Thinking podcast is good because it's two black dudes who are really smart when it comes to Bible. And they tackle these issues like their episode, I'm telling you right now, it's long. It's 3.5 hours long. Their episode on critical race theory is fantastic. If you only listen to one, that'd be the one to listen to. And I got some wrestling podcasts I listen to and gun podcasts. But yeah, those are about the ones I mainly listen to. I used to listen to a lot more at my old job because I work by myself, so I just have the headphones in listening all day. But I don't work by myself anymore, so that kind of cut down. Plus, my drive ain't as long as it used to be. Okay, hopefully that answered your questions, even though I got them all switched up. Gypsy Lane asked the next couple questions. What commentaries do you like to use? I really don't have any commentary. I mean, I got some that I got from Michael Hosey. Sent me some. I can't remember who they're by. I think they're here under all this stuff on this table, so I'm not going to try and dig them out. I haven't looked at them too much because I mainly just use study Bibles if I need commentary. I got Ruckman's Galatians commentary since we've been going through the book of Galatians on here. And I've been wanting to buy some more of his commentaries. I like to get some Phillips commentaries, but I just ain't bought none. I mainly just, when I need commentary, I just use these study Bibles I have or look it up online. That's 21st century for you, I reckon. Commentaries are just, you don't ever know what you're going to get. What did you think of the book New Testament Giving by Kevin Mann? I picked it up again yesterday and started reading it. I ain't finished it. I actually started over because I was a little ways through it, but it's been so long. I just started over yesterday, and I'm in chapter. I read the preface yesterday. I'm in chapter 1 today. I'm hoping to get it knocked out in a month. Hopefully, that's my plan. But I'll let you know about that because I'm going to do an episode on tithing once I finish reading. Because I already agree with what he's saying, that tithing is not a New Testament church mandate. It's not for us. I already agree with that. I just wanted to read his take on it and get more solidified in my position on it. And we'll do an episode, and it'll probably take a whole lot of people off, and it'll be fun, you know. It's fun taking people off, I guess. What we do around here sometime. Finally, we got some questions from Eric. He asked if you could design your ideal Bible, what would it look like? Size, materials, what features would you want? References, maps, wide margins, certain notes, etc. Here's the thing. I used to think about this all the time. Because you could technically hire somebody to make you a Bible. You could make it yourself if you were so inclined, because you don't need any type of permission to print your own KJV Bible, because it's not copyrighted. So, but the more I think about it, when I talked to some people about it before, like if you could design your own Bible, and you'd be like, well, I want to add this to it, and I want it to have this and this. By the time you got done, that thing would be huge, most likely. But for hypothetically speaking, say I could get all that in a nice package. I'll definitely want it to be wide margin, with the margin going all the way around the text. Church Bible Publishers, could you please make a decent wide margin? Every time they come out with a wide margin, I'm like, oh, sweet. And then it's the kind that has the margin's only on 3 sides. I want it on 4 sides. It's not really a wide margin, I need it on, put it in the middle, put the margin all the way around it. That's what we want. But I'd want it to be wide margin. I want it to have, if we could mix, since this is hypothetical, we could mix the Schofield references with the Common Man's references. I'd like to have that. As far as notes go, does it need notes when it's got good references and a wide margin so you can take your own notes? I don't guess it does. I don't know whose notes I'd pick to put in it anyway. I mean, because I like the notes in Ruckman, I like the notes in the Common Man's, but of course I don't agree with all of them. I guess we could do that. We could take the notes I agree with out of the Ruckman, the Schofield, and the Common Man's and put them in there, but I don't know, that's not really... The more you put in there, the more you got to make your font smaller just so you don't have like a Bible this thick and this big. But yeah, I'd want it to be, I don't know, lambskin, goat skin. Depends on what kind of goat skin, I guess. And I want to have a yap, wide margin, some good references. I don't need maps and all that concordance and stuff. I can live without that. But yeah, some good references like from Common Man, from Hoffman here, or Schofield, and wide margins. And a decent sized font that I can read. That'd be nice. It's got to have a nice cover. Something floppy. I like floppy. I know I'm kind of in the minority there. I like floppy covers. Yes, how do you stay motivated to keep pumping out podcasts? By doing what I'm about to do after this episode, taking a break. Well, if we first started the podcast, well, we started the YouTube channel, and we did that for about a year, and then we merged them together. Or we did the YouTube channel for a year. I started the podcast, and I did that for about a year, and that was two different things. Some of y'all who's been around, like Gypsy Lane, y'all remember back in the beginning, you could watch the video and get one subject and then go listen to the podcast and get a totally different subject. I didn't do the same thing on both of them. So that got overwhelming to a point. And because I'd have to come up with material for the video, and then I'd have to come up with material for that, then I'd have to record this and edit it, record that and edit it and upload it. And I was like, we just put them together and made it one thing. I'm like, I'm just going to record a podcast, and I'll just record it and put it on YouTube. So I did that to kind of make things a little easier, and then we kept going with it. And I'm like, man, this is becoming hard for me to come up with stuff to talk about. Like, not saying there ain't nothing to talk about. There's plenty of stuff to talk about. It's just got to jump out at me and be like, hey, I should talk about this week. Or we should do an episode on this week. And I was like, man, this is getting bad. And then I noticed that I was listening to the briefing, and he takes breaks. When his season ends, he takes a month off. Sometimes he takes he took a month off for December one time. And he took a month off for July, I want to say. He took a month off. And I was like, man, that's a good idea. Because I was thinking about just taking 1 month off. And then it got me thinking, I was like, well, I could take July off, and that would kind of split things up in the middle of the year. And then we could take a month off at the end of the year. And then we could just split it up and have 2 seasons. And then I'd have a break in between each season, a month off. And that just gives me time to recharge. Because this is difficult. It's difficult to a degree, not super difficult. But coming up with content and stuff like, because I'm not just going to get up here and just start spewing. I'm going to look it up, get the verses, the references, and whatnot before I do an episode on it. But, yeah, it got to the point where I'm like, man, this is a chore. So I started taking breaks. July, December, we don't have podcasts. And I tell you, I'm so anxious to get into that break. But by the time the end of July comes, I'm going to be chomping at the bit to get back behind this microphone and make some podcasts. That's just how it works. I go away, and I still work on the podcast, some of the behind the scenes type of things like the merch. And I'm going to redo all the graphics after this season because we've been using the same graphics for a while now. I'm going to redo all the graphics. Of course, we do new intro music every season. I got to get that ready. But by the time the end of July comes, I'm ready to get back out here and start making some more. So that's the best way to keep motivated for me to keep pumping out podcasts is to take a break and let myself chill out. And by the end of the month, I'll be ready to go again. And then finally he asks, as a fellow WWE fan, who is your GOAT wrestler and which era? If you're a wrestling fan, you'll understand eras. Attitude, ruthless aggression, PG, etc. is the GOAT, or as Natalia would say, the boat. Best of all time. My GOAT wrestler is Stone Cold Steve Austin because he's who got me into wrestling, to watching wrestling. I'll tell you the story. I used to, when I went into my junior year in high school, I decided I was going to join the military. So I'm like, well, I guess I better join NJROTC. That's what we had. Navy Junior Officers Reserve Training Corps, whatever it's called. They kind of prepared you for that. Y'all know what ROTC is, I'm sure. So I joined that figuring I probably should join that since I want to go in the military after graduation. And there's this girl in my class. She wasn't annoying. She was actually a pretty cool chick. And she would talk about wrestling in class. You know, before class started, you're talking to everybody. And she'd just go on and on about Stone Cold. Oh, Stone Cold came out last night and did this and did this. And I'm like, so I was like, well, I guess I'm going to check out this wrestling thing and see who this Stone Cold guy is. I can tell you the exact segment I was watching. The segment where Mr. McMahon comes out with all his goons and Stone Cold comes out in a suit and tie like he's done sold out, you know, and Vince McMahon's talking to him about this and that. And this was the first thing I seen when I turned it on. I'm like, okay. And then McMahon's looking at his shoes. He's like, where's the Gucci shoes I got you? Why are you wearing your boots? I got you a fancy pair of shoes to wear with your suit, and you're not wearing them. And then all of a sudden Stone Cold starts taking that suit off, and you find out he didn't sell out. He didn't sell out. And then, of course, he gives Vince the stunner right there and just starts dropping everybody with a stunner. And I'm like, this is awesome. This is awesome. So I been watching it ever since. I've taken years, you know, I've taken time off over the years. After my first divorce, I took some time off from watching it. And then I took some time off. I don't remember. It's been about 5-6 years ago now. Because I remember taking some time off and I came back and Sheamus was the WWE champion. I'm like, who's this guy? He needs a tan. But, yeah, Stone Cold, my goat. Because he's the one that got me into wrestling. And which attitude era, I'd probably have to go with Ruthless Aggression. Even though I came in during the Attitude Era, it was like halfway through the Attitude Era. And there were some stuff that wasn't good in the Attitude. Like the way they treated women wrestlers wasn't good back then. But Ruthless Aggression, that's when I got to the point where I was watching like every week nonstop. Like my first wife, she knew. Back when Raw came on at 9, we were out, and I'm looking at my watch. I'm like, we gotta get home. Raw's coming on. It's almost 9. So Ruthless Aggression era was pretty good. I don't care what anybody says. The Alliance, thing. I thought that was good. Everybody says it was trash, but at the time I loved it. I thought it was great. But yeah, Stone Cold and probably Ruthless Aggression era were some good ones. So yep, that's all our questions that we got for today. That took, well, according to my timer, we're almost at an hour, but once I edit this thing down, it's probably going to be at least 45 minutes. So this is going to be this season finale, though. Anything goes, right? I hope I answered y'all's questions to the best of my ability. That was fun. The last time we did a Q&A, I think we had like 4 questions. So y'all really knocked it out of the park on this one. We might have to do it again for season 8. For all the information you need regarding the podcast, including social media, how to support financially, how to be saved from your sins, and information on me, your host, check out the website, gospelovergimmicks.org. If you would like to get this fantastic Gospel Over Gimmicks t-shirt, which you can also get in red, by the way, visit the Teespring store right here on the screen, or check out the link in the description. It'll be down there. Probably a lot easier. Just click on the link in the description. And you can get you one. They're like $12 or $12 and some change or something. I don't know. Not sure exactly what I'm going to do with these during the break. Might make a new design. Might get rid of them completely. Don't really know. If you like what you saw today, subscribe, like, share, rate, review, follow. Those are, I plugged this light up and I totally forgot to turn it on. Those are some free things you can do that helps the podcast out. You don't have to spend a dime. Just take today's episode. Maybe not today's. But take an episode, share it on your Facebook, let everybody else see it, and whatever. Don't forget, this is your last chance, because I know she said there was only a 30-day So it might be over already for all I know. Only a 30-day fundraiser you can do on PayPal. So check out the link in the description to help support the orphanage in Uganda and help them kids get a place to live. Before I go, let me ask, are you saved? If you realize there's never been a time in your life when you put your faith in Christ as your personal Savior, then let me read you this passage from Romans 10, verses 9 and 10. That thou shalt confess with thy mouth the Lord Jesus, and shalt believe in thine heart that God hath raised him from the dead, thou shalt be saved. For with the heart man believeth unto righteousness, and with the mouth confession is made unto salvation. If you're not saved, I'm telling you right now, Jesus is coming back soon. And you need to be ready. And if you ain't saved, guess what? You ain't ready. I want to give a huge shout out to my wife because this season has been rough. I've had to do school. I do Sunday school and I do podcasts. And that don't leave me a whole lot of time to spend with her. And it's been rough. Been rough going a little bit here and there. But I appreciate her patience. Like, I know me and her, we'll butt heads over it sometime, but I appreciate her patience to let me do what I believe God has called me to do and doing this podcast. So, like old Luke Combs says, I'm just trying to give credit where credit's due. 'Cause me don't mean a thing without you. So I appreciate her. Happy Independence Day. It'll be next weekend. But, this is the last podcast. And Stella says goodbye. Stella came up to tell y'all goodbye. Stella's about to get thrown across the room. She don't quit trying to chew on me. So, next Sunday, you'll be seeing this on a Wednesday. Next Sunday will be 4th of July. So if you are an Americano, happy 4th of July. Happy Independence Day. That's it. That's all I got for you. Stella, tell the people goodbye. Here, wave at them. Stella says goodbye. I tell y'all, I'll see y'all August 4th for the Season 8 premiere. Until next time, take up your cross. Carry on. Alright, I said last week we was going to do a special Joyful Noise segment, so we're going to do that. I don't know how special it's going to be. I'm just saying, instead of just singing one verse of a song, I'm singing the whole song. I was going to try and get music, but that didn't work out. It was a little harder than I thought. And I'm not sure if I can make that work anyway. Maybe we'll work on that for Season 8 finale or something. I wish I could play an instrument, but I can't, so I'm too bad there, I guess. But we're going to sing What a Day That Will Be, because I don't know, I just came in here and sat down and I was like, what am I going to sing? And I was like, well, let's sing this one. It just popped in my head, so that's what we're going to sing. What a Day That Will Be. What a day that will be, when my Jesus I shall see, and I look upon his face, the one who saved me by his grace. When he takes me by the hand and leads me through the promised land. What a day, glorious day that will be. There'll be no sorrows there, no more burdens to bear, no more sickness and no more pain, no more parting over there. But forever I will will be with the one who died for me. What a day, glorious day that will be. What a day that will be, when my Jesus I shall see. When I look upon his face, the one who saved me by his grace. When he takes me by the hand and leads me through the promised land. What a day, glorious day that will be. See y'all in August.